This year, near the Canadian border, items were confiscated by the U.S. authorities, which was going to Cuba. In 2005, near the U.S.-Mexican border, the same thing happened. 43 boxes of electronic equipment was taken by American authorities. After over 10 months of fighting, those items were returned. Now let's go to our next segment, which will talk about what happened in 2005. In July 2005, 100 people, youth, adults, seniors, people with disabilities, traveled to the U.S.-Mexican border with 140 tons of humanitarian aid destined for Cuba. They reached the border to find that they weren't allowed to pass with their cargo.
They'll let us in. They're not letting us take our aid.
And why not?
Because it's against U.S. law for material aid to be brought to Cuba without a license. If we don't have a license, we're not going to accept a license. We're not going to do it with a license because we believe that we don't and shouldn't have to have a license. That this is an appalling policy of the U.S. government to keep Cuban people from food and medicine.
Confiscation of materials and transportation vehicles has not kept the caravan from its goals. Despite the obstacles imposed by the U.S. Department of Commerce, Caravistas carried the material across the border into Mexico. Challenges to the restrictions have included hunger strikes at the border, media public awareness campaigns, vigils, and marches in cities like New York and Washington, D.C.
Okay, what kind of provisions are being held at the border?
They have electrical. They have computers, laptops, computer scanners, printers that are being held, computer accessories. And I think that the U.S. is strategically doing this, is a weapon that they're using to harm not necessarily the government of Cuba, but the people of Cuba. And so it's very unfair that we spend so much money in war and we're not able to be more human and allow for things that have been collected throughout the U.S. and that are from people in the U.S. to go to the people of Cuba.
I think it's good that the young people get involved with these things because when you hear about people talking about, we are the future and we're going to become the people, making the world, I guess, a better, worse place. So I think that if, maybe more younger people get involved, then we can make a better future for us and for newcomers.
7 members of the Caravan for the Pastors for Peace refuse to cross the border until they get returned the materials that have been taken and are allowed to cross that border into Mexico to its final destination in Cuba. Today, as we stand here, they are standing there, also in a vigil. And so we are, in a symbolic gesture, want to free 7 white doves to pave the way for the 7 caravanistas and the aid that we want to get to Cuba.
10 months later, the materials were returned to IFCO, the Interreligious Foundation of Community Organizations, the organizers of the Pastors for Peace Friendship Caravan to Cuba. The materials did not reach Cuba, but it did reach people in need, the survivors of Hurricane Katrina in the Louisiana Gulf Coast. We'll return to Rebel Media after these messages. Stay tuned.